Live from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the 9 PM news on the most prestigious channel of Sri Lanka. I'm Niket Karunaratne.
And I'm Kasuni Balachandra Adhikari. We start off with a look at your headlines for tonight.
The President emphasizes a unified operational mechanism which goes beyond the normal state administration is required to restore public life after a disaster. The President, during his visit to Kandy, also inquired into the well-being of the people of Matale. The Malvatta and Asgiriya Mahanayaka Theras commend the government's actions in the face of the disaster. Island-wide relief operations continue along with foreign donations. The central bank instructs all licensed banks to grant relief to individuals and businesses affected by the recent cyclonic and flooding disasters. Nearly 79 kilos of ice and heroin narcotics apprehended by the Navy in the Kalpitiya beach. On to those and other stories in detail now. President Anura Kumara Dissanayake emphasized that a unified operational mechanism which goes beyond the normal state administration is required to restore public life after a disaster.
The President stated this while participating in the Kandy District Coordinating Committee meeting held at the Kandy District Secretariat this morning. During the meeting, the President separately reviewed the progress of the rapid programs underway to restore essential infrastructure in the district, including the highway network, electricity, water and fuel supply, irrigation systems and communication facilities. The President instructed officials to utilize the allocated provisions for the next 25 days to complete road clearing activities swiftly until the permanent reconstruction of roads is completed. The President also instructed that water supply in the district be fully restored within 3 days. Until then, the water requirements of the public should be met through browsers, and such activities must be carried out as an emergency measure beyond the usual procedure with technical support from the tri-forces. Further, he instructed that the cleaning of household wells be carried out under the coordination of divisional secretariats and that electricity supply in the district be restored by 31st December through temporary repairs, while major reconstruction work will be carried into the second phase. The President pointed out the need to identify arable lands and give priority to cultivation. He instructed that cultivable paddy fields be identified urgently and supplied with the required irrigation water, and highlighted the importance of coordinated action by the Department of Irrigation, Provincial Irrigation Department and the Department of Agrarian Development. Accordingly, 150,000 rupees per hectare will be paid as compensation to the affected vegetable farmers, and necessary amendments will be made to provide the same compensation for losses incurred in banana cultivation. He also instructed officials to expedite the payment of the 200,000 rupee compensation allocated to identified farmers and fields, and to submit a report on the extent of vegetable cultivation affected in the district within 2 weeks. The impact on the livestock sector due to the disaster was also broadly discussed. The President highlighted the need to maintain updated data regarding the number of farms and livestock. Discussions were also held regarding restoring fuel supply in the district. Due to road blockage, fuel supply has been disrupted in Pusallava and Meethalava. The President instructed that through coordination between the Road Development Authority, the tri-forces and the police, fuel will be supplied to these areas by this evening. The resumption of schools in the Kandy district was also discussed. The President instructed officials to minimize delays in reopening schools to ensure that examinations are held as scheduled. The President also examined in detail the steps taken to restore the district's health services, railways and communication facilities. Discussions were held regarding housing damage and the resettlement of affected people. The roles of the Geological Survey and Mines Bureau and the required staffing needs were considered. The President stated that state-owned lands in adjacent areas will be identified and presented for resettlement activities, and necessary interventions will be made to release such lands through discussions with relevant institutions. He emphasized that the government's objective is to resettle people safely, and continuous assessment must be carried out to ensure that compensation provided for destroyed and partly damaged houses is used properly for reconstruction. Attention was drawn to the garbage disposal problem in Gampola. As a long-term solution, the President instructed that until the relevant Mahavali land is released, land belonging to the Ceylon Electricity Board be temporarily allocated for the purpose. Attention was also paid to the damage caused to state institutions due to the disaster situation. While noting that natural disasters such as floods, storms and landslides cannot be prevented, the President emphasized that the loss of lives and property can be minimized. He stated that a proper study of the Central Highlands is needed and a long-term plan must be prepared to restore the eroding ecological system. He further highlighted the need to enforce the powers of local authorities to prevent similar disasters in the future, stating that no room should be given for illegal constructions hereafter. He also noted that Ceylon Electricity Board should not provide electricity to such unauthorized locations. The President stated that although some expected it would take a long time for the country to recover after the disaster, the government has already been able to restore public life to normalcy within a very short period of time. He added that by working together for a little longer, the desired goals can be achieved together. The President expressed special appreciation for the dedication shown by state officials and the Triforces in carrying out these tasks.
In the meantime, President Anurukumara Dissanayake has called on the Mahanayaka Theras of the Malvatta and Askiriya chapters this morning. The President, during the meeting with the Mahanayaka Thera of the Malvatta chapter, Most Venerable Tibbatuave Sri Sumangala Thera, has elaborated the prevailing disaster situation. He has also briefed the Mahanayaka Thera on the government's program to grant relief to the affected masses.
අපේක්ෂා කරාට වඩා වැඩි ආදායමක් ආණ්ඩුවට ලැබුණානේ මේ අවුරුද්දේ. ඒ නිසා අපිට ලබන අවුරුද්දට ණය ගන්නේ නැතුව අපිට මේ මුදල් ප්‍රමාණයක් ඊයේ අපි පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට ඉදිරිපත් පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ කිව්වා ලොකු මුදලක් වෙන් කළ ජනතාවට සහන දෙන්න ඕන කියලා. නිවාස ගියපු අය ඒ තැන්වල අවදානම් නම් ආපහු එතන පදිංචි වෙන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ කියලා. ඒක තමයි අපි ඉඩම් හොයන්න කොහොමද ආවෙත් ඒකයි ප්‍රතිසාපකාරලේ ඉසපතුමල හම්බ වෙලා නුවරයට රජේ ඉඩම් කොහෙද තියෙන්නේ ප්‍රශ්න මොනවද කියලා බලන්න මම මේ දවස් 3ම
Most Venerable Dibul Kumbure Vimala Dhammathera, Anunayaka of the Malvatta chapter, said that the Mahasangha really appreciates all those who have engaged in helping the victims and allowing them to lead an appropriate life.
කර ගැනීම සඳහා කටයුතු කරන්න එතුමාණන් ඇතුළු රජයේ බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. ඒක ඉතාමත්ම වටිනා කාර්යයක්. අපේ මහානායක මාහිම්පාන් වහන්සේ ඇතුළු මහා සංඝරත්නය ඒ සඳහා ආශිර්වාද කරනවා.
Thereafter, the President has called on Mahanayaka of the Askiriya chapter, Most Venerable Varakagoda Sri Jnanaratana Thera, and received blessings. The President has also briefed the Askiriya Mahanayaka Thera on the government's program to grant redress to the affected people. Later on, the President has met Anunayaka of the Askiriya chapter, Most Venerable Narampanave Ananda Thera. Most Venerable Narampanave Ananda Thera said that the government headed by the President has acted with great dedication to grant relief to the masses affected by the disaster.
The Disaster Management Centre says 2,082,195 persons in 586,464 families have been adversely affected by the inclement weather condition. The government, the army and voluntary organisations are involved in granting relief to these groups as well as to reconstruct destroyed properties, including road networks. The three armed forces are continuously extending their contributions to provide humanitarian and aid disaster relief and other essential needs of the victims of this unexpected disaster. Relief operations are especially targeting heavily affected districts of Puttlam, Anuradhapura, Kandy, Nuwara, Trincomalee, Badulla and Mullaitiya. The Navy was engaged in cleaning 51 drinking water wells in Madampe and 19 other drinking water wells in Anuradhapura district. The Navy was also involved in clearing logs and garbage blocked in the Levella bridge in Kandy. The Northwestern Province Regional Office of the Electricity Board says many damaged transformers and power cables in the Puttlam district have been restored. Clearing of electricity cables with the Parliament town of Anamad were damaged due to cyclone are the final stage. Recultivations have commenced in 12,000 acres of destroyed paddy fields in the Trincomalee district. The government is scheduled to provide 150,000 rupees for each of the affected hectare of paddy fields. Trincomalee district secretary says that the insurance board provides compensation amounting to 40,000 rupees for each of the insured acre of paddy lands. Transport facilities have come to a standstill for 500 families in 3 villages due to the breaching of Lake Bund of Andiya Puliyan Kulama Reservoir in the Settikulam Divisional Secretariat in Vaunia. The Air Force personnel have commenced reconstruction of the tank bund. The Vaunia Air Force camp says 50 airmen have been deployed in the task. The reservoir bund of the main canal network used for irrigation of farmer settlements on the southern bank of Rajangane was washed away in the heavy rainfall in Anuradhapura district. The contributions of 1,000 farmers and army personnel are being used in the reconstruction work. Our correspondent says that this lake irrigates 8,500 acres of paddy fields. Many cultivation lands were inundated due to the breaking of the outer dam of the Kachimaduva tank in Kottukachia, Puttlam. It has been reported that more than 1,000 acres of cultivations of the Maha season were destroyed in the cyclone. A joint program had been implemented with the participation of farmer organizations and the Department of Irrigation to repair it. Reconstruction of houses, school buildings in the Sirimangala village in Serunavara due to the breaching of the Mavilaru reservoir is being carried out with the contribution of the Kantale Pradesh Sabha and the Civil Defence Forces. Health Secretary Consultant Physician Dr. Anil Jasinger was engaged in an inspection tour on the special field hospital donated to the country by the Japanese Emergency Disaster Special Team in the Chilaw area. The field hospital located at the Chilaw Police Headquarters grounds engaged in continuous treatment services daily from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m.
Dr.
Anil Jasinger mentioned that so far around 100 patients were inspected and treatments were provided. He further said that all specialists and nurses were engaged in providing medical facilities at a time when the Chilaw hospital was underwater. Now, X-ray and ultrasound facilities are available and the hospital staff is extending an efficient medical service. Head of the Japanese medical team, Yoseth Ichiro, said that he believes it would have been appropriate if they were able to restore routine lives of the affected people within the shortest possible delay. Repairing of damaged houses and buildings, as well as constructing of relief services in the Mahayangana area is being carried out by groups of army personnel. Army Commander Lieutenant General Lasantha Rodrigo was engaged in an inspection tour. Many locations in Nuwara had come under water due to thunder showers. Our reporter says due to the blocking of drainage systems as a result of refuse still creates floods. Employees of the Nuwara Municipal Council, with the support of the residents, are removing these obstructions. Cleaning of the Nuwara Children's Park of mud and silt is being carried out by the army, residents and a group that came from Kalutara. The Sri Lanka Army is extending assistance to restore many infrastructure facilities destroyed due to floods and earthslips. The Army is engaged in reconstructing the damaged road network using iron bridges donated by India and Pakistan. The Army is also assisting in cleaning wells that were inundated in the area.
A United States Coast Guard vessel to strengthen maritime security in Sri Lanka was officially handed over to Sri Lanka at a ceremony in Baltimore in the United States. This was the fourth ship donated to Sri Lanka by the US. The 64-meter long-distance surveillance craft is equipped with the latest monitoring and armed facilities. Such a craft was earlier used for anti-narcotic operations in the United States. This craft would now become invaluable in protecting Sri Lanka's exceptional marine economic zone for rescuing operations and also to safeguard the ever-busy shipping traffic on the Indian Ocean. Sri Lankan ambassador in the US, Mahinda Samarasinghe, US officials and Sri Lankan diplomats were present at the official handing over ceremony. A discussion to enlighten honorary consuls and designated Sri Lankan diplomatic corps overseas, as well as international organizations, on Sri Lanka's nation rebuilding efforts after the disaster situation was held recently. The meeting was presided over by Prime Minister Dr. Harini Amarasuriya and Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Employment and Tourism Vijitha Herath. Gratitude was conveyed to all international parties and diplomatic corps for the assistance provided to Sri Lanka during the time of emergency by the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister has reiterated that Sri Lanka continues to rely on international assistance even at this juncture when the country has embarked upon the period of reconstruction from the state of emergency responses. The Indian Disaster Response Force arrived in the country through the courtesy of the Indian High Commissioner's office, contributes in the process of cleaning the wells polluted by the floods. Accordingly, the Indian National Disaster Response Force was engaged in cleaning wells in the Gramanildari divisions of Tihariya, Varana and Kattata in the Attanagalda Divisional Secretariat Division, and also in cleaning contaminated wells in Katana and Nigambo. One of the two mobile hospitals donated by the Indian government to Sri Lanka public affected by the floods was installed in the Mahayangana town yesterday. Treatment of patients at the Mahayangana base hospital was completely stopped with inundation of the premises by the Mahaveli waters. The Indian task force is comprised of 85 medical personnel, 19 physicians and 81 dentists. This hospital is able to engage in minor surgeries, dental services, and it is equipped with medical facilities including X-rays. A ship carrying emergency relief from the government of Tamil Nadu is en route to Sri Lanka to assist communities affected by the cyclone, floods and landslides. The vessel, loaded with 950 metric tons of essential supplies, the shipment has been dispatched under the direction of Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin. According to the Deputy High Commissioner of Sri Lanka in Chennai, the consignment was provided in response to a request made by Dr. Ganeshanathan, Sri Lanka's Deputy High Commissioner in Chennai. A plane carrying 17 packages of aid weighing 2.6 metric tons has reached the Katunayaka airport from Switzerland this morning. The items include water purification equipment, Now, the Deputy Ambassador of Switzerland in Sri Lanka, Olivier Praz, and officials of the Disaster Management Centre were at the airport to receive the goods.
The Maldivian community living in Sri Lanka today carried out a donation program to support people affected by the recent disaster. The consignment of relief goods handed over this evening at the Maldivian Cultural Centre was later officially submitted to the Kaduwala Divisional Secretariat.
The donation included over 6,000 pieces of clothing for adults and children, as well as more than 1,000 units of food items, baby essentials, sanitary products, medicines, garments, and mixed household supplies. The consignment also consists of over 80 boxes, including 83 bags of rice and cases of bottled water. The relief items will be distributed across several disaster-affected areas, including Kaduwala, prioritizing families in need. Officials from the Maldives High Commission, along with the Director General of the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, Manoja Nadishana Amarasinghe, Deputy Director General Engineering, Kapila Dasanayaka, and the accountant of the Kaduwala Divisional Secretariat, Kasun Madushan, participated in the handover ceremony. Director General of the SLRC, Manoja Nadishana Amarasinghe, said he wishes to extend gratitude for the contributions made by the staff, including Sri Lanka's High Commissioner of the Maldives and the Maldivian nationals in Sri Lanka, for the community hospitality program jointly conducted by the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, the Disaster Management Centre, and the Presidential Secretariat. Accountant of the Kaduwala Divisional Secretariat, Kasun Madushan, said that nearly 47,000 belonging to 14,000 families in Kaduwala area has been displaced by the floods. He also thanked the Maldivian people who have provided the donations for these victims.
We are honoured to hand over 78 cartons of essential relief items along with drinking water, dry rations and other necessities to the Sri Lankan community affected by the recent floods in Sri Lanka. This donation drive was actually initiated by the Maldivians living in Sri Lanka. They have witnessed firsthand the loss, the damage, the tragedy in Sri Lanka right now. And the Maldivian community came together with heartfelt solidarity to extend our support to our neighbours and friends in this difficult situation. The Maldives stands with Sri Lanka and we remain committed to supporting the ongoing relief efforts in every way we can.
Over the past few days, as Sri Lanka faced the devastating effects of the cyclone Ditwa, I've had the privilege of working with the Maldivian Embassy in Colombo as well as the Maldivian community to help collect donations for those who are affected. It's truly moving to see how Maldivians step forward to help the Sri Lankan community, those who are affected, and we all work together to get many items and the clothes which are at these trying times we needed for the community. The Maldives and Sri Lanka has always had a deep foundation of trust, and we and other Maldivians living in Sri Lanka has always felt closely connected to the Sri Lankans living in the Maldives, mostly due to the close friendship and the resilience and the kindness the people of Sri Lanka show every day for us Maldivians. It feels like a second home for us, and I am privileged, and I'm sure every single Maldivian in Colombo is privileged to help those who are in need in Sri Lanka during these trying times.
During the recent Ditwa typhoon, we witnessed the immense hardships faced by Sri Lankans who suddenly lost their homes and belongings. And as Maldivians, we could not just sit and watch. We felt this sense of deep responsibility to help our neighbors in need. Our Maldivian community quickly came together and brought together collections of donated clothes, drinking water, and other necessities. Everyone contributed in one way or another, and it is truly inspiring to see how everyone united in wanting to help those in need. This act of service reflects the strong bond between Sri Lankans and Maldivians that is built upon trust, friendship, and unity. This collective effort shows that when one is in need, the other is always there to help.
When it comes to Maldivians, we stand together always, and this is our second home. So if anything happens to them in Sri Lanka, if anything happens to them, obviously all the Maldivians reside in here. We all will come together and help you. This is the good opportunity we got to help you.
And now for an update on the weather situation. The Department of Meteorology says that the northeastern monsoon is gradually stabilizing across the island. The Met report adds that as a result, many spells of rain may occur in the northern, north-central, eastern and Uva provinces, as well as in the Matale and Nuwara Eliya districts. Somewhat severe rainfall exceeding 50 millimeters is possible in the western and Sabaragamuwa provinces and also in the Galle and Mathura districts. Foggy condition at dawn in the central and Uva provinces may also prevail. The department informs the general public to take necessary measures to minimize accidents caused due to strong winds or lightning during heavy rainfall. A group of specialists of the National Building Research Organisation has conducted investigations into the earth slip conditions that had taken place on the Hatton entrance route of the Sripada Sthana in the Mahagirinaba area. The opinion of the specialists has been that entrance to the Sripada via the unstable geological area has to be restricted. The police informs the devotees venerating Sripada to take into special consideration the condition of the road. All sluice gates of the Nachaduva reservoir have remained open today. Engineer in charge of the reservoir says this decision was taken by considering the heavy rainfall lashing in the area. Accordingly, a volume of 3,000 cubic feet of water is being released to the Malvathoya per second. An approximately 25-meter length of the Badulla A5 road in Millabadda has sunk by an extent of around 1.5 feet. The Road Development Authority has taken measures to completely close the danger area. An earth slip danger has arisen in the Manikavatta settlement in Rosalla in the Hatton Wattawala Police Division. As a result, 13 resident families were evacuated from the area. The police say around 50 persons belonging to these families have been provided temporary lodgings at the Tamil Mahavidyalaya in Valioya. Our reporter says more than 100 buffaloes were killed due to overflowing of the Mahavali River in Kantale. As a result, many dairy farmers are facing strenuous difficulties. Residents of Kotikavatta who had been displaced due to overflowing of the Kalani River have returned to their homes. Our reporter says damaged houses in Brandiyavatta in Vallampitiya are being reconstructed. A Shramadana campaign to clean flood-affected areas in Kalaniya has also taken place today. An elephant calf isolated from the herd and stranded at a paddy field in Bovatta in Valikanda during the flooding was found by the villagers. The baby elephant of around 8 months of age was handed over to the wildlife officials by the farmers in the area.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka has instructed all licensed banks to grant relief to individuals and businesses affected by recent cyclonic and flood disaster. This aims to support recovery while maintaining financial system stability. CBSL said the relief package complements government-led disaster assistance to restore livelihoods and support business recovery.
In the meantime, the Nosidena Dayava social hospitality program implemented by the national television has ended accepting materials with effect from today. The program was engaged in handing over essential items to the relevant district secretaries continuously for 11 days.
The Nosidena Dayava social hospitality program implemented by the national television has ended accepting materials with effect from today. The program was engaged in handing over essential items to the relevant district secretaries continuously for 11 days.
In the meantime, the Navy has taken into custody nearly 64 kilograms of ice narcotics in a search operation conducted on the Kalpitia beach yesterday. Among the contraband seized was nearly 15 kilos of heroin narcotics as well. They were apprehended while searching a suspected boat. Navy Commander Vice Admiral Kanchana Banagoda said that 2 boats and 4 suspects have been apprehended in a raid carried out yesterday. He added that further search operations had enabled to seize ice and heroin narcotics.
The Central Bank of Sri Lanka has instructed all unlicensed banks to grant relief to individuals and businesses affected by the disaster. This aims to support recovery while maintaining financial system stability. The CBS has said that the relief package complements government-led disaster assistance in order to restore livelihoods and support business recovery. Measures include a 3 to 6 month suspension of capital and interest repayments on existing loans, with interest capped at the contracted rate and no additional interest on deferred amounts. Accordingly, they are also required to extend new loan facilities based on borrowers' repayment capacity. Repayments must begin only after a minimum 3-month grace period following the suspension. During the suspension period, the borrower's existing rate, whichever is lower, while longer tenor loans may be repriced after 2 years using the average weighted prime lending rate. Banks must clearly communicate restructuring terms, obtain borrower consent, and provide written reasons for any rejection of relief, informing borrowers of the right to appeal to CBSL. They have also been told not to reject new loan applications solely based on adverse crib records. The banks have been asked to accept written or electronic requests for relief by 15 January 2026. Meanwhile, the Minister of Industries and Entrepreneurship Development informs that details pertaining to all industries affected in all districts and divisional secretariat divisions should be fed into the database maintained by the ministry before 2 p.m. of 16th January. In order to facilitate the process, the hotline of the Ministry of Industries is 071 266 6660 remain open.
President Anurakumara Dissanayake says that an amount of 10 million rupees will be provided to each person who had lost land and house due to the disaster. The President has made these remarks participating in the budget debate in Parliament today. The President said that he is requesting the Parliament to approve a further supplementary estimate of 50 billion rupees. Along with that, he added that they have already allocated 22.2 billion rupees. That means 72.2 billion rupees needed to be spent over the next 25 days. The President added that the amounts will be spent on behalf of those whose livelihoods had been destroyed. The government will provide without distinction a monthly grant of 50,000 rupees to families who have lost their homes and are displaced so that they can move into rented accommodation for the months of December, January, February and March. This will be given continuously for 3 months to allow time for their means of livelihood to be re-established. For business premises damaged by the disaster, they will be provided a compensation of up to 5 million rupees per unit. For houses that have been completely destroyed and are uninhabitable due to the disaster, a further 5 million rupees will be given to build a new house. If there is no land, land will be provided by the government. If land is not available to be allocated, in addition to the grant for building the house, up to a further 5 million rupees will be provided to purchase land. For houses that have been partially damaged by the disaster, the government is expected to provide up to 2.5 million rupees for repairs. These funds will be given in 4 bands of 1 million, 1.5 million, 2 million and 2.5 million rupees. In addition, for each loss of life caused by the disaster, the government has decided to grant 1 million rupees to the relatives of the deceased. The IMF has proposed that instead of presenting it to the board in December, it be postponed to January or February. The President also said that it has been agreed in this regard. In December, the country was due to receive a tranche of $342 billion. The government is in discussion to increase that amount. He added that the country needs to increase it. However, to meet the immediate need for foreign exchange, the government has requested relief of $200 million from the IMF. The President said that he believes they will respond positively to this.
Here's an intellectual opinion in response to proposals made by the President to Parliament yesterday regarding restoring lives of the people affected by the disaster.
This is one of the biggest disasters Sri Lanka is facing now. We can use it as an opportunity to reconstruct the economy, society and the entire system. Our target shouldn't be to recover. We should target going beyond that. Since international assistance aid are coming, and migrant workers are also supporting, diaspora is also supporting, Sri Lankan private sector is also supporting, so many international organizations, foreign countries are supporting to the government since they all trust this government, not like in the past. In the past, when you gave some assistance, money, resources, you didn't know what happened to those assistance resources. But now donors trust this administration. We can utilize it for the reconstruction and going beyond that in the future. The President in his Parliament speech highlighted how to reconstruct the economy, and also he gave promises to give affected people sufficient assistance. Rather than giving a small amount of money, he was promising to give sufficient money to purchase lands and also reconstructed lost houses and also other assistance.
Foreign news on the other side of this break.
Welcome back. And on foreign news for tonight, Afghan and Pakistani forces exchanged heavy fire along their shared border late Friday night, resulting in the deaths of at least 5 people, according to Afghan authorities. The clash, which occurred in Afghanistan's Spin Boldak district of Kandahar province, marks a critical escalation in tensions that have persisted despite recent peace efforts. The victims included 4 civilians and 1 member of the Taliban, who were reportedly killed by shelling from the Pakistani side. Officials from both sides immediately issued conflicting statements, each accusing the other of initiating the hostilities. Afghanistan's Taliban government claimed that Pakistani forces had launched attacks towards the Spin Boldak district, prompting the Afghan forces to respond. An official from Kandahar's information department stated that Pakistani forces used light and heavy artillery and that mortar fire had struck civilian homes during the approximately 2-hour exchange. Pakistan countered that Afghan forces were responsible for the unprovoked firing along the Charman border. A spokesman for the Pakistani Prime Minister affirmed that Pakistan remains fully alert and committed to ensuring its territorial integrity and the safety of their citizens. And that's all the news we have for tonight. Join us again at the same time tomorrow. Good night.
Good night.